nothing left for me to hate, so I can lay me down, my brothers, on the ground. I bled today until Coyote comes to raise me up and carries me
Good evening, welcome, happy new year, welcome to 2023. It's yourself, John Anderson, here for the Scottish Rugby blog. I'm here to host this podcast. I am still in the hot seat for tonight. I am joined by none other than Craig Manson. Craig, happy new year, how are you?
Happy new year, how are we doing? Yeah, I'm not too bad at all, actually. How about yourself?
Very good, mate. Very good. Starting the year off well, so plenty of just continuing the way where things were previously. We're not doing anything different. Just going to continue the same. None of this resolution nonsense. We're not doing none of that.
Well, I'm gonna make a resolution that not to join a podcast that was meant to be a review of the year and has turned into a review of the 1872 Cup. I wonder who fashioned that one into here, I tell you.
First of all, is my audio better, Craig?
Your audio is better, thank you very much.
Thank you, no problem. I thought I'd got the right one. I've got like 3 options, and I thought I'd got the right one, but I haven't. Do you know, I just think that sometimes we need to live in the moment, Craig.
Yes, I'm sure you do. Just you. Just you and a certain few others.
Yeah, well, yes, indeed. Tonight we shall be having a little look back at the festive fixtures, enjoying some of the thrills and spills of the 1872 Cup. We may touch a wee bit on the year in general, but do you know what? I just think the year needs a bit more time. I think it needs I think it needs its own podcast, Craig. Really, I think that's what it needs. And it would be remiss of us not to talk about the 1872, the 150th edition of the Grand Trophy itself. I think it would be remiss of us not to talk about it. But first of all, get the admin out the way. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome. I can't believe you found us. Good effort. You are about to your life's about to be changed. Probably not for the better. But if you fancy coming along and supporting us a wee bit, you can head over to patreon.com/Scottish Rugby Podcast, where £3 a month will get you exclusive content. You'll get access to Patreon only things, which are very, very good, actually, a lot of them. You can also, if you're so willing, donate £5 a month and you'll get your name read out on the podcast as well. We do appreciate all our patrons so much. Your support really does help us keep the podcast going and helps us with lots of different things. So we're very, very grateful. So thank you in these ridiculously hard times to everyone that continues to support us in the way you do. So mwah to you guys. You're magnificent. Craig, shall we start with a little bit of news?
Yes, absolutely. How about it?
How about it? Right. So let's start with actually, I've got 3 notes here, and you can interject any news you want, okay?
Well, first, you have a notes is awesome.
I know, right? So it's
amazing.
Actually it's like literally post-its. We're doing this properly.
New you.
I know, right? That's what my boss told me as well. I might have then swore at him, so yeah.
Well, that'll come later.
Potato. Right, so from the Glasgow press release for the Stormers game coming up this weekend, Rory Darge apparently fit for early Six Nations.
Yeah, sounds like it. It'll be. He was. Ever since his injury, he's been, all the sort of the publicity that's been out, and he's been involved in it. He's been looking all right. So obviously he's healed a lot quicker, and good on him. It'll be, from what I can tell at the moment, you won't find it difficult to get into the team, but you'll find it difficult to you'll not be used to Glasgow being so on form that he'll have to up his game a little bit.
That is very good. I should prelude all of this with Craig has told us he is choosing violence tonight. So I liked what you done there, bud. What
you've got to understand is that, and this is for obviously we have a messenger group for the podcast for everyone who takes part in the podcast, and let's just say that the amount of abuse that I have taken, or the amount of John fishing to see if I'll flip out and start throwing desks over and things like that on this messenger chat has been quite dramatic over the last 2 games, and I've tried to, be subtle and just relax and just yeah, John, yeah, you're pleased, that's really nice to hear you, it's excellent, but. So he has been winding me up before I came on today. So, I decided, I think, I could have sat back and been the better man, but I've decided to choose violence today.
I think that's the outcome I was looking for, Craig. That's what I wanted. Yeah, I'm sure it'll come as no surprise to many of our fans that I have been on the wind-up throughout this period. So, yeah, but I congratulate you on your slight dig there, mate. Very impressive.
You're very welcome. It's probably the only one that's going to land.
Well, we'll see. I'm sure you'll do okay. I was just going to say it must be really good being young, eh? Getting back from those injuries and that speed.
Yeah, yeah. Still, it's funny because Johnny McGinty is about to. We'll might end up back on the pod later on, and he's in a meeting about a charity rugby game that's taking part in April,
no.
and him and I had a coffee yesterday, and we were discussing whether I might come down to it. I'm thinking, hang on a minute, I'm still struggling to get up and down the stairs from the last rugby game I played about 3 or 4 years ago. So yeah, oh to be young.
Oh, to be young, yeah. So, great stuff. It'll be great to see Rory Darge back, especially with the news regarding Hamish Watson recently as well. I think, a fit Rory Darge is a massive asset to Scotland in the Six Nations. So, fingers crossed. Speaking of fitness for the Six Nations, though, the converse is true that Scotland's. I was going to make a dig there. Scotland's alternative fly half, Adam Hastings, is not going to be taking part in the Six Nations. He's sustained an injury and he'll be out for the duration of the tournament. What's your view on this, Craig? Because obviously we're going to come on to the main bit of news in a sec, but there's a few options kind of creeping in there that could be good to try out. Just shy of a World Cup as well.
Yeah, very much so. Well, do you want to just announce the third piece of news, and then we'll have a good discussion?
Let's get the third piece. So the third piece of news
to talk about.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, third piece of news, massive news coming out. Edinburgh have confirmed the signing of currently Irish fly half Ben Healy, who is Scots qualified, was rumoured to be going to Glasgow a few years ago. Has kind of been on the periphery of the Irish side for a wee while. Decent talent. I've seen him play a few times, and he's a lot going for him. And he's moving to Scotland. Obviously, the Gregors finally talked him into coming over and being Scottish. We also did speculate about the absolute potential for a horrendous move where he confirms it and then Ireland cap him in the Six Nations. But let's not worry about that. We're pretty sure that's sorted. So Ben Healy's going to Edinburgh, which first of all, right, let's talk about the Six Nations, Craig. Because Ben Healy, Adam Hastings is out. Ben Healy's coming to Scotland. Do you expect him to see him? Do you think he'll get capped?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think he'll play against Italy at least. When I think about it, Italy might be a challenge. Maybe he'll play against England. I don't know.
Wales.
Sorry, it's Wales.
Wales.
Well, it was just a joke. Insert team here.
Wales are the joke team just now.
Yeah, that's true. I think it really is interesting. I think to be safe, they'll have him into camp because it's rumoured to have been promised that he'll go straight into camp.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah.
So he'll go into camp, and if he's playing well and shows his stuff, and considering he's not got a lot to do to show that he's better than some of our tens. So it'll be interesting. Going back to Adam Hastings, I don't know. Obviously, Adam's injured, and he has been injury prone, and it's been difficult for him for the last couple of years. But I really don't. Again, this is this whole thing of Tooney not really. Either he just doesn't want to hedge all his bets on a player at 10, which is the whole thing about Finn and how Finn is now the 5th choice 10 for Scotland. But he's obviously said to Adam Hastings, I'm not going to select you. You're going to have to go back to Gloucester and work on a few things. Well, actually, from what we can all tell, and whether maybe BT Sport are overhyping him, but he's playing incredibly well for Gloucester. So, so I would have thought with the issues that are currently haunting Blair Kinghorn at the moment, I would have thought that we'd go back to the old school Finn Russell and Adam Hastings on the bench Six Nations team. So if we're not going to have Hastings, then I reckon you're probably going to see you're going to see Ben Healy, if
Straight into
coming
the 22
earlier.
shirt.
Yeah, very much so.
It's especially given the injuries. So obviously we had the 1872 at the weekend, and obviously Darcy Graham's been injured prior to that as well. And then with a Duhan van den Berg go off with what looked like a reasonable knock as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, Blair Kinghorn has played some great rugby on the wing for Scotland as well. So is there a potential for, could you just see Blair Kinghorn being at 14 and, Healy on the bench?
Well, it's difficult because if we go with the whole, mind you, with Tooney, you never know. If we look at the current situation, you're expecting Finn to start, Blair Kinghorn on the bench, covering three positions.
Okay.
I don't think you'll see that change, but what you might find is that you've got Kinghorn on the bench, you've got Healy on the bench, and you've got a 9 on the bench because he might go 5-3 split. So Kinghorn's still covering a couple of different places, but who knows? And we'll talk about it more when it comes to Edinburgh. But on current form, you're currently not looking at Blair Kinghorn getting a place in the squad at all.
Well, that very, very fair statement. So I'll challenge you with this before we kind of continue that discussion around Ben Healy. Who would you start in the wing? Like, assuming Duhan, let's just take Duhan and Darcy out the equation for a second. Who plays wing for Scotland against England?
That's a difficult one because obviously, for me, I think it's going to. You're going to. Well, it depends on how Duhan is, but I think you're probably going to see Blair Kinghorn somewhere around here because he knows what he's doing at that position. You've also got some other players that are coming in, but I think against England at Twickenham, you're going to need fairly level heads. You're not, saying you're going to come in with a new player on the wing that's never played on the wing before. I think you might find yourself struggling a bit. So maybe you'll find Hoyland in and around the squad. So
Sean Maitland.
Funnily enough, I've got a big problem with Sean Maitland and the fact that he's playing he's playing quite well with Saracens.
He's playing decent down at Saracens. Yeah. He seems to have been.
He's playing for a team that have decided they're going to start shipping the ball wide again. So I think that'll be a good. I think that's a good shout. The problem I have is that Sean Maitland decided that he's not going to come and play for Scotland if he's going to be holding on to tackle. He's not coming to the camp. He doesn't want to be hanging on to tackle bags. So for me,
to be fair, so did Richie Gray at one point. So
yeah, that's true.
I guarantee if he's not wearing the 5 shirt against England, I think a lot of people will be quite upset.
Yeah, that's true. You can always, you've got Kyle Steyn again, who's on a fairly rich vein of form.
I think he needs to be in the 11 shirt. If both of the Edinburgh boys are out, I think Steyn is your 11 all day. I think his form just now is exceptional.
And again, let's not get too carried away because if we've had a little bit of a discussion about this prior to. I don't think that Glasgow are playing as wonderfully as a lot of fans are saying they are, considering, and we'll talk a bit more about the Edinburgh-Glasgow, the 1872 Cup games. Yes, we've been beaten twice by Glasgow, and Glasgow have been stringing some good results together, but they're still at that point. I think the Bath game kind of encompasses it all at this moment in time. They're managing to get over the line, and it's not pretty at this moment in time. So I wouldn't say that Kyle Steyn is absolutely 100% shoo-in. However, I think he's on a fairly good rate. He's on a fairly good form. And I think Franco has really brought him on, and also you've also got Tom Jordan and people like that who are coming through, who are showing.
Tom Jordan's not qualified till 2024.
I know. So there's but you've got those people coming through the Glasgow team,
totally,
that are starting to work together. So we'll have to wait and see. I think currently, if you said to me now, pin your colours on the mast, which you actually have just done. So
I literally just did. Yeah, come on, off the fence, Craig. Okay. Off the fence.
So I reckon you probably see Steyn starting on the wing. I think you'll see. I'm really struck between Hoyland and Kinghorn. I would far rather have Hoyland on and Kinghorn on the bench, just because you've got the option then for Kinghorn to fit into places where people are injured. So I think that would make me then go, right, well, I'm going to go down the route of Hoyland and Steyn.
So I'm just going to address one of the comments that's just come in regarding Tom Jordan. Tom Jordan qualified back in October, apparently. No, he qualified for URC residency. He didn't qualify for Scots residency. So he is not Scots qualified until 2024. However, he doesn't count as a foreign player in the URC anymore. So that's what that's all about. So just to address, it comes up as Facebook user, so I don't know who it is. I'm not going to go and check, but that's the story there. So Tom Jordan is on the new 5-year residency rules. He's not on the 3 years, so it'll be 2024 before he qualifies. At which time he'll be 26, and if he continues his current form, which we'll come on to during the Edinburgh Glasgow chat, I think it would be a very solid option for Scotland. But yeah, I mean, we're in this situation just now where we've got a few injuries. There's various things coming on. Let's cut all the noise around this, Craig. Is the Ben Healy signing the end of the Blair Kinghorn experiment?
I don't think it is. I honestly, again, we've had a lot of, and I've been engaging a little bit on Twitter with a few people who are talking about this. And let's put your what was I going to say? Let's put your jibes aside. It is question. I think Blair Kinghorn and Ben Healy will offer, as we've discussed before many times, two different ways that the team can play. So whether Healy starts and Blair Kinghorn's on the bench, or Kinghorn starts and Healy's on the bench, that you get those options. We've got if you look at our 10 options for currently, we've got a young lad, funnily enough, so is Ben Healy, in Savala.
He's not old.
He's not old at all, no. You've got Savala there, who's basically backing up Blair Kinghorn at 10. You've got Van der Vault, who at the current moment is backing up anybody in the back line, because he's plugging a gap. And I don't think you'll see him in an Edinburgh shirt next season. So I've been saying we've been screaming for an out and out 10 for some time. I'm not convinced that Savala is 100% the person yet. So I think with Ben Healy coming from the background that he's come from, he's obviously got something to have the SRU breaking the bank to get him over here. And they've been having a go with. They've been trying to get him across for, he only signed, his contract was up last season. Either wanted to come over and play for Glasgow. He signed an extension to see how things go with Ireland, and he's obviously been told that he's not got a chance in Ireland.
That's because Sexpot's going to play on until he's 107. So
yeah, it seems to be. And then you've got the robotic Leinster 10s coming through that no matter how many they produce, the return of the clones. So I think he's got the option to come over to Scotland, and I think he's got the chance. I've just seen a comment coming up saying,
I'm just about to bring it in, Craig, actually, but yeah. So we'll bring it in just now. So Stuart Schiller said, I agree with what you're saying. However, did Healy really sign to play second fiddle to Kinghorn? And I mean, I was going to ask you exactly the same question. How do you balance the game time for Healy? Will want to be the man at Edinburgh. How do you balance that game time?
Yeah, but he's not the man at Munster at the moment. So he's obviously learning, and he's obviously been excited with getting the opportunity to play with Mike Blair, who's obviously telling him, look, you come over to Edinburgh, and not only do you become part of a fairly tight knit group of players, but you also get the opportunity to influence the play. Where I'm not going to sit and dictate to you how you're going to play in these certain areas of the field. Although some may say that Mike Blair should actually be dictating how people play in certain areas of the field at the moment. But so it's a yes. There's lots and lots of takes you can take on it. At this moment in time, from what I can see, he's been signed with a promise that he's going to play for Scotland. And whether that's being second fiddle to Blair Kinghorn, whether that means Blair Kinghorn is going to become the ultimate utility player for both Edinburgh and Scotland, and he's going to be playing on the wing at fullback, all these different, because he has been doing that over the last couple of months, and we've got an out and out 10 now. In Healy, I can't tell you 100%. I've not seen enough of Healy to say to you, oh, he's a far better player than Blair Kinghorn is at 10. So I don't know.
Well, I mean, putting aside my views on Kinghorn at 10, because I know what Kinghorn offers at 10, and I know that running game. I think Kinghorn is a better runner than Ben Healy. I think he challenges the line better than him. I think Healy's fundamentals are vastly superior. I think he kicks better, he passes better. Yeah. Defensively, I think they're probably much likeness. And I don't think they're necessarily as different a player as people would necessarily make out, because I think Healy's kicking game has probably shone through in his early years. He's a very good kicker of the ball. He seems to make 15, 20 more meters off of every kick than any other 10. Particularly, at Munster, any other 10 I've seen kicking, he challenges that line really well, and it normally comes off. So I think, particularly if you guys are basing yourselves on a forward-based game where you can really dominate that, he's a perfect player for you to have. You win a penalty at the breakdown, assuming Jamie Ritchie can behave himself, and you kick it a corner, and he'll make the corner from pretty much anywhere on the park. He is a massive kicker of the ball. What I think Blair Kinghorn does better is he challenges that gain line and runs. And if that's the game plan Mike Blair's got, I think Ben Healy might struggle in that game plan. Whilst I think he's a better 10, I think he's a better player than Blair Kinghorn as a 10. I think he'll struggle if if Mike Blair wants Edinburgh to continue that running the first phase ball that he seems to have them do.
Yeah, but we'll come on to this in about the 1872 side of things. Blair Kinghorn and we can all jump on the Blair Kinghorn train if you want, but I think for me, Blair Kinghorn is a better player when he's got a quality 9 serving him ball.
100%, yeah, totally.
And the way he plays his rugby, from what I can tell, he needs front foot ball. He needs quick ball from the ruck, and he also needs to trust the person that's directly outside him. When that doesn't happen, things fall apart. One thing I will say, and we'll talk about it further down the line, his defence this year has been shocking.
It's been terrible, noticeable.
Yeah, so on that side of things, if you've got certain things that you see about Blair Kinghorn saying that he's criticising certain skills of his that I disagree with.
Yeah.
When it comes to if I was his rugby coach, the reason he wouldn't be getting on the field at this moment in time is because of his defence, nothing else. So he's at this point where we've the last three games. I think I've watched 4 games. In fact, I think it started with the Munster game. I've seen him be in the position to stop a try, and he's failed it every single time.
Yeah. And when you think about his background as a fullback, which genuinely, like, obviously Johnny McGinty aside, usually there's an expectation that you'll make. I thought that would get a chuckle out of you.
I think yeah, definitely. The ultimate utility player, Johnny McGinty, who plays in the forwards badly, plays in the backs badly. It's brilliant.
So, before we go on to the 1872, Craig, like, blunt question: did autumn with Scotland, did Finn Russell returning to camp, has that impacted Blair Kinghorn's form?
I don't think it's impacted his form. I think the problem that's the issue you have is that everybody was scratching their head at what with Tooney sending Finn Russell away, because it was primed perfectly for a situation where Finn starts, Blair's on the bench, Blair comes off the bench to provide you something different, and you don't bring him on when we've not got front football. So Finn's on the pitch most of the time, unless there's an injury on the wing or at fullback. But at 10, you need to be commanding the game to bring Blair Kinghorn on as a Scotland 10. I think he was all set for that, and then all of a sudden he's got Tooney's arm around him saying, we're going to replicate what you're doing at Edinburgh. And they played a completely different style of rugby to what he played at Edinburgh.
Yeah.
So I suppose I'm going to come round to your point of view here. Yes, it could have affected him.
Yeah.
Because he's trying to, he's being told he's the man for Scotland, and then things aren't working because he's not playing the brand of rugby that he expects to be playing at Edinburgh. So it's a real difficult. I think right now, if you're naming your England your team to go against England right now, I would be putting Finn Russell in the team at 10 starting, and you'd have Blair King on the bench as his backup, along with a backup on other things, because I would probably run a 5-3 bench.
5-3 bench. I would even struggle with that, because I think Blair Kinghorn over the last few weeks, his form, and I think, like, again, we keep saying we're going to come on at the 1872. We are going to come on at the 1872. We'll talk about the second half, and I appreciate that he was apparently ill, but wasn't taken off the park, which
I'm not going to. I've got very, very, very specific opinions about that, and I don't actually think that it was, apart from his defence, I think Blair Kinghorn had the opportunities to play well during the 1872 Cup game.
I thought he was presented with plenty of what you class as Blair Kinghorn ball, front foot stuff. He was given an opportunity, and we'll come on to that in due course. But for me, I don't think over the last few weeks Blair Kinghorn's been. I actually think he struggled a wee bit this season.
So who do you put in his place?
So, I mean, that is the question, and I think, so for me, you're probably saying your halfbacks. He's going to start Ali Price, isn't he? He's going to start Ali Price and Finn Russell. I know he is. He is going to, because he's a stubborn. We're not hating it. Yeah. There's no way Ali Price isn't in the 9 shirt, right? Who gets the 21 shirt? I had to do my sums there. Did you see that?
Hey, listen. You do more about statistics than I do, so
I know.
You can work an Excel sheet, so I'll bow down to you.
I hope my employer isn't watching. So I think the 21 shirt, like, Ben White's done nothing wrong. I think George Horne's form needs to be rewarded, which gives you a second kicker option. So that does then bring Blair Kinghorn into the discussion. I think Ben Healy, with the best will in the world, I think he comes straight in. I know that's madness. I know people are like, well, oh, yeah, he's just coming over the boat from Ireland and he's barely played this season. I think he offers something different to Finn Russell, Blair Kinghorn. It's then down to that 23 shirt. And I think that's where Blair Kinghorn should always have been. And I think that's the point you were making as well. And I think ultimately that comes down to, do we have Duhan fit or not? If Duhan's fit, I think you'll see Blair Kinghorn not in that 23. If he isn't, I think he will be. I think he'll be at 23. And that just comes down to the balance of that kind of back row. Because I think if Duhan's if Duhan's fit, I think you might see Kyle Stein at 23. Just based on form, because I think he's in form.
I think you've got a very, very good chance of seeing Kyle Stein starting.
I think
on the other wing,
yeah. That's you're absolutely right. I think you do. This is why Tooney gets the big bucks, though, isn't it? So,
well, yeah, many people question it, but
yeah, somewhat.
But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I think I still, and again, this is the issue is that Blair Kinghorn's a confidence player, and I think if he's protected a little bit on the bench and he gets the opportunity to sit and watch the game evolve in front of him at international level, he comes on and he provides a difference. I've backed him when he was chosen to start for Scotland, because I'm going to back our 10.
Of course you are, yeah.
Sure. And I think he has very certain qualities that I think are different to a lot of other players out there. He's not, however, I think if Finn Russell is playing well and is available, he's going to start every day and twice on Sundays.
Absolutely.
So it's and I've got to say, I see Ben White starting George Horn on the bench. I don't see Ali Price. I see him fighting for his place.
It's interesting because I think a lot of people have been talking about Ali Price over the last few weeks, and let's come on to the 1872, because actually that probably Ali Price is probably a great place to start. Let's talk about this weekend's game. Ali Price is on the park. Edinburgh are dominant, 8 points up at half time. Ali Price is playing a very subdued game. Glasgow have scored a couple of tries, yes, but he is box kicking everything that exists. He reminded me of certain Edinburgh scrum halves over the years.
We'll get into that in a minute.
He box kicked the leather off it.
Yeah.
But actually, a lot of fans that I've spoken to since then have said that was his game plan, and that it's not the game plan for Glasgow. Price is not a Glasgow scrum half anymore. He's a Scotland scrum half. And I saw Kevin Miller popped up some stats. Price has played 44% of Glasgow's minutes in 2023 and 78% of Scotland's minutes. Price is a Scotland scrum half now. He's not a Glasgow scrum half. And to judge him on what Glasgow are doing, he's going to be in that 9 shirt all day without fail.
Well, the thing is, you look at what the first thing we said when we found out it was going to be Franco Smith that was coming in to coach Glasgow. He'll start the young guys.
Aye,
he develops young guys. And okay, George Horn isn't young. I understand that, or at least he's young, but he's not that young. But what he's done is he's given George his opportunities, and where Glasgow and I think if you look at it, started at Scotstoun, maybe not as good as I expected it to be, but it certainly they brought it to Edinburgh to our home fixture, as I would say.
Craig, you're better than that. Come on.
Anyway, Glasgow had an edge to them, and they were going to use that ball. Every time they took the ball into contact, they made meters. And so for example, Ali Price didn't have a great game. He wasn't playing particularly well, in my opinion. There was a lot of kicks that went up that gave the opposition too much time, and unfortunately,
a lot of the time they seemed really short. The kicks,
yes,
and Edinburgh were there,
high
but
and short.
The chasers were rubbish as well.
Yeah, and the problem, there was a mixture of, well, to be perfectly honest, Ali Price's box kicking game was useless for both sides because, Glasgow weren't doing very much with it, and Edinburgh weren't doing very much with it. So it was, and then, we've got something similar. You see, this is the thing, right? And I'm sorry to say this because I know that someone who runs, who's involved with the Edinburgh fan club, really, really loves him. But Henry Purgos, when he was at Glasgow, made Ali Price look George Horn. Yeah. Ali Price was young, quick, played quick ball, was rapid. People. He was either shooting from the hip or he was rubbish. And all of a sudden then he started becoming more and more of a Scotland player. When he went off the boil and everyone thought he was finished with Glasgow, and then he came back. All of a sudden he had the corners knocked off him. He was playing more sensible rugby. He had the ability to be quick if he wanted to, but he was playing a game plan. And then he went off to the Lions. And I was one of those people who said, there's no way Ali Price is going to the Lions. I had to eat humble pie. But that whole trip, that whole build-up to become a Lions scrum half, and the pick Lions scrum half.
Yeah, he was the Lions scrum half. Yeah, he was.
He had to have a hell of a corners knocked off him. And it slowed him down. And so we're at this point where George Horn, obviously, and God, I'm talking a lot here, John, and we'll give you a chance to talk.
All right. No, please, Pat. No, yeah.
For me, looking at it on an outside thing, on the outside of it, Franco Smith has got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
So he's basically gone, right, let's develop the young lads. Let's bring George in. Let's get quick ball. We've got a massive 12. And a massive. Now, where did he play? Was it 8 or was it 6?
Oh, Vanilavo.
Yeah. Was it 8?
7.
7.
we picked a very interesting back row, mate.
Very much so. We've got a couple of big ball runners. Let's disrupt. Let's quick ball. And Ali Price doesn't provide that now. Ali Price is more into this whole thing of he's controlled. So. He's almost to the other way around. You bring Ali Price on to finish a game out.
Yeah, totally. So in the URC, I can see at international level the benefit of that. And
yeah.
And I like we've taken the Michael in the past about guys like Alban Jones who doesn't play club rugby. He plays for Wales and he plays Welsh rugby. I think in a World Cup season, having coming off the back of a Lions tour, had a wee break and stuff, I don't think it's a bad thing that Franco Smith is saying, do you know what, Ali, you can have 20 off the bench, or I don't need you. Actually, I want to give George Horn game time. I want to give Jamie Dobby game time as well.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a bad thing. We know what Ali Price can do. And as long as he's got enough rugby in him when we get to World Cup, that's fine. Not that I think it's going to make the absolute any difference whatsoever when it comes to the World Cup, because I still think we're losing in the group stages, but from a performance perspective gives Ali Price the best chance to be fit, ready, and not having burnt himself out with the season of rugby.
Yeah.
On the converse side, I agree with you completely. I don't know if Franco Smith likes what Ali Price does, because his game plan is fast. And it is speed of ball. The reason guys like Vanilavo, Dempsey, Fagerson, even Stafford McDowell, the reason these guys are looking good under Franco Smith is that pace of ball. They're given pace of ball and they are big units coming onto the ball and just smashing it up. And it's really simple. It's simple rugby, but it's effective when you're doing it at pace. And George Horn is bringing that in spades. And I want him to be the number 9 for Scotland. I really, really do, because I love what he's doing. I just think that Townsend has nailed his colours firmly to the mast on that, and I don't think we'll see him.
I think King Horn. King Horn. Oh, obsessed.
Whoa! The other horn.
I think Townsend has got it in his mind that you have to have controlled rugby at international level.
I think he was burned by the World Cup in 2019.
Yeah, he went to the World Cup going to be the fastest team in the world, fastest rugby, and unfortunately, the players that he selected and took didn't do the job for him.
Japan played faster World Rugby.
Yeah, Japan absolutely. You think you're going to be the fastest team in the world? Yeah, so it's for me, and this is, and we've been talking about this for years. George Horn needs to go and play elsewhere and show that he can, and I think obviously he's getting that bump with Franco Smith. But if you look at how his following lines that he provides, you give him a premiership team like Harlequins or something like that, he's going to be their top scorer.
Yeah, without fail. You can see George Horn stepping in. Danny Kerr, right? Runs a good line. George Horn could be an upgrade on Danny Kerr, and that is no disrespect to Danny Kerr.
No.
I think Horn's a better player, and he does everything Danny Kerr does, but better.
And can kick.
Kick.
He's and to the point you could actually, George Horn is almost giving you what Cooney can give you.
Yeah.
Did you see what I did there?
I saw what you done there.
I'll tell you one. If we're hopefully Edinburgh are on a package deal with the Old Irish, because I'd like to see Cooney coming across and playing for Edinburgh, because I think he could.
I thought you didn't like aging expats.
I'm not asking him to play for Scotland. I want him to come in and I want Burgos out the way so I can have it.
So you can have John Cooney.
A couple of good nines in there. So
I'm not adverse to that, mate. John Cooney's like I've been very vocal about my views on John Cooney as well. I think he would be a massive asset to Scottish rugby. Primarily, I think he would be a massive asset to Scotland as well. I think he offers something a little bit different to what we have at the moment.
I actually think he's, and people are I'm going to hear glasses being dropped all over Scotland, but I think he reminds me a little bit of Greg Laidlaw, but with a bit of speed about him.
He does.
He can kick. He's very, very well. He's particularly thoughtful about the game. He's knowledgeable about the game. The only thing that's bugging me about him, and the thing that worries me about him, is he has. That's two coaches now in Ireland that have never touched him.
Yeah.
Or they've brought him in and then all of a sudden he's dead to them. So what is he doing to make those coaches go, oh, no, he's not going to play for Ireland
Or
again?
what are other people doing to make him...
Well, there's that as well.
Yeah, because there is rumours about Sexton's influence.
Yeah. But
well, we'll see that. Yeah. So let's just cover both the 1872 games in the short amount of free view time we have left. So the first leg, a 16-10 win over at Scotstoun. Edinburgh really didn't fire a shot for the first, actually, like 70 minutes, really, did they? They were. I'd say they were in the game. I didn't feel panicked at all. Yeah.
But yes, I think it was because I think we lulled ourselves into a false sense of security for the Murrayfield round, because we kept giving the Glasgow ball.
Yeah.
And I'm not a big fan of a team that seems to be causing you a few issues. Why keep giving them the ball?
Yeah, don't give them the ball. That removes the issue.
Yeah. So on that side of things, I think Glasgow came out and they looked dangerous, which. For me, it's a mix. Again, I keep forgetting his name. I struggle with his name. The back rower, the big lad.
Oh, Vanarawu.
Yeah. Now,
just call him Big Sione, mate.
Big Sione. Okay.
Well, I'm not going to get Sione and Little Sione.
I don't want to be
quite big too.
I didn't want to be referring to Glasgow players like in Pally terms. I don't want that. But I think the big lad was proving pivotal, and we got a bit scared of him, and so we were, although we kept giving them the ball, please have the ball back. So I think we're in a. I think Glasgow were doing very, very well at Scotstoun, which I expected anyway. I didn't expect us to win that game. All I wanted to do, I just wanted Edinburgh to go there and be as close as they possibly can for the second leg. It was. And if anyone was going to score, it was typical. It was going to be fucking.
Oh.
I forgot where I was. You better time code that. That's at 50 minutes.
50 minutes, almost exactly.
But Dempsey.
I'm sorry. What you saying about Dempsey, Craig?
I just if it was going to be anyone that scored against us, it had to be him. So after what I've got to say for him, so yeah, it was. But we were still.
It was a good try, to be fair. It was a really good try.
It was. Nobody was stopping him. And to be honest, our defence was starting to creak at that point, and it was making me a little bit concerned. The Scotstoun round I thought was what I expected, and to come away with 6 points in it,
you would be expecting to come back to your home ground and 6 point advantage. Edinburgh are good for 6 points. I think you come into the second leg. That seems reasonable.
We've done it many times before, and we've held the cup for so long that we're kind of. I think. Well, I was kind of thinking it was going to be still in the cupboard, to be honest with you. So, and then all of a sudden, Glasgow, again, Glasgow looked dangerous, and Edinburgh's. To me, there was two issues in the Edinburgh game, in the Murrayfield leg.
Yep.
We couldn't deal with your forward movement game, so having Tuipulotu and the other big Sione coming down Blair Kinghorse Channel all the time. Every time was dangerous, and was given. All you need to do is have someone hanging off the side of them, and they were going to move the ball around. The surprise for me was Jordan.
I thought Tom Jordan was immense.
He for someone who I don't know a huge amount about.
Yeah,
he was physical, but also had a game in him. He wasn't just a physical 10. He had a. He's again.
A good pat. Like he's got a good distribution game. His offloading was nice as well, but it's that aggression with the ball. He likes to run it up.
And your Argentinian 10 is again finding himself. Why am I not getting to play 10?
Yet again.
A break here.
I know, totally. He's got Ross Thompson in front of him beforehand, and then some amateur boy turns up to the Super Six, and he's not getting a game either.
Absolutely, yes.
I probably just want, before you go on, Craig, so I want to put out a shout. I gave Tom Jordan the first few weeks of the season, I gave him an absolute panning and said he's an amateur rugby player trying to play professionally. I take my hat and I munch it. I thought he was man of the match at the weekend. I thought he was outstanding. And I absolutely love watching what he's doing at 10 now. And he's, like most people are saying, he's a 12 playing 10. He's played his whole New Zealand career at 10. He's a 10. He came to Scotland and he played 12 at Ayr, right? And I think it's made him a more rounded player. He is so aggressive in the carry. He's so good at taking the ball at the line. And, like, he's on the edge defensively, like, at times. He's a wee bit Hastings, and he likes a wee high shot, but he does it in a very physical way. And I am loving what I'm seeing from him just now. And I take back what I said prior to that.
He's a more physical 10 than we've ever had.
I don't think I've seen anything like it at 10. Like, literally, it. And this is going to sound funny because it actually reminds me of Finn Russell at 10. And that most people will be like, oh, but Finn the muscle, is built like the side of a fiver. Finn Russell's an incredibly aggressive defender, and always was. He reminds me, and I'm not saying they're a similar player because Finn's a lot more flamboyant in what he does. Tom Jordan's very steady. He is a very solid 10. I don't think we've had a solid 10 in years.
You really have struggled at 10.
Aye. Aye.
And as we've discussed many times, so he's got the opportunity, and he certainly grabbed the opportunity. And you've got to look at what Franco did with Garbisi and people like that, you know.
Yeah, totally.
So he's going to bring them on. So I think they've done very well there. And so what? Just to finish off on that one, basically we were struggling with your physicality.
Yeah.
And then when we then turned it round and came at you, we did okay. But the problem we had was we had Henry Pyrgos farting about at the back of the ruck.
Yep.
And the issue I have with him, he's a great control player. He deserves all the plaudits that people have said over the time. But the way Edinburgh play is breakdown rugby, as in the minute ball comes out the back of a ruck.
1-2 gone. 1-2 gone. It's 2 second rugby.
Yeah, and he gave Glasgow far too many opportunities to set themselves back up in defence.
The guys in commentary were talking about the white wall of Glasgow.
Yeah.
And it was really easy for Glasgow. So Glasgow are 2 up tackle. Mm-hmm. Generally, like if it's Mata or Duhan, it's 3 or 4. But you're talking about a 2 up tackle, and then you've got 13 bodies straight across the park. And Pyrgos is going da 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 da. 13 men in front of me. Oh, I'm going to go short side for 2 because that's what Mike Blair's told me. That's Edinburgh rugby. We go short side. So you do that for 2, and then you're on the touchline. You've still got 13 men in front of you because Glasgow have done 2 up tackles and just got back on their feet. And then you've got a whole pitch in front of you, and he's box kicking away because you've lost momentum.
Yeah.
It was turgid.
Yeah, and I think for me, it's what do you do when you've got a strong defence defending against you? Well, you're looking at then Blair King wanting to take it to the
line,
to the soft shoulder straight up. You get your big lads involved that they have to make double tackles. But the problem you have is that when somebody goes in and there's a double tackle on them, you need that ball out of that ruck quickly because unfortunately he then was at the point where you get to the ruck, then it'd be like, right, what's going right? The ball's going now.
Yeah.
That second or half a second gives somebody the opportunity to either slow the ball down in the ruck or get off of their feet. And they weren't, yes, they were big enough. Glasgow were big enough that 2 people in the ruck will slow the ball down enough. Legally, compared to maybe a Mr. Wilson, who would just be a pain in the arse at the ruck and give away penalties. Glasgow are not at the point where they're giving away that many penalties nowadays.
It was only 6 at the weekend.
Yeah,
there, which is great.
Yeah, and then we can no longer sit back and go, well, we're Edinburgh, we don't give away that many penalties because look at how many penalties we did give away. It was ridiculous. So it's just we missed Vellacott's zip.
You did. I thought so.
I think because that's how we play in our attack.
But you're sitting at halftime, 8 points up. You've dominated the first half.
Wouldn't say dominated, but yeah.
Okay, well, I mean,
we played okay.
I think between the 5th minute and the 35th minute, you were by far and away better than Glasgow, and should have put you had a lot of chances, and there was a few moments where Glasgow have got some of the a bit of luck from the laws, Duhan coming through. Canceleri's done amazing holding them up, but ultimately that would have been a 5-metre scrum a couple of years ago. It's now a dropout. Tom Gordon's battered it long. Bill Matters dropped it. Things like that. There's moments in that first half. Edinburgh, I think, had every opportunity to be 25 points up in that first half.
Yeah,
and
I totally agree.
And didn't.
Yeah.
And then Glasgow have come out second half, all firing, and I think this is the point we were getting at in the chat before, that people are talking about the. So I think Glasgow, right? The reason I'm saying it, I'm really excited about Glasgow, because I think on the whole, over the last few weeks, I think Glasgow are playing some really good rugby. I think they're really interesting, really exciting to watch. I don't think they're going to win titles. I don't think they're going to win playoffs. I think they're a team in progress, and they'll make mistakes as a team in progress, and you'll get first halves like you did at the weekend, that they'll get shut down, they'll make mistakes. Edinburgh, I thought, played a really smart game. They got Bill Mata on the ball a lot in that first half and just went, "You son, straighten it right up. Let's see what they've got shoulders wise." And had it not been for Sione Tuipulotu, I don't think Glasgow would have held on in that first half. I think, if you look at, he got man of the match at the weekend, but I think Tuipulotu, I've never seen a Scotland centre that can straighten a ball like that and beat men. He's a talent.
Yeah. Yes and no.
Yes and no. Go for it.
I think he shone well at the weekend. The problem I have is that he shone well in the second half, where our defence was failing us quite dramatically. He was running.
First try was all Tuipulotu as well in the 4th minute.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
He beat 5 men to get us in position. Like,
how can
yeah,
yeah, but hang on. What I'm trying to say though is that if we are performing well in defence, he's not getting through. If you look at what they're doing, for example, on the weekend, I think it was Sale Harlequins. No, it was Northampton Saints Harlequins, okay. And Esther Hazen has, Players Player of the Year last year in the Premiership Player of the Year last year, doing the same things as Tuipulotu's been doing. They brought Ludlam out of the forwards at line out time, etc. Set piece play, brought him out, sat him in the 10 channel,
smash him,
negated him. And so what I'm trying to say is, yes, I agree with you. And Ian Hay put a line out on Twitter, which I totally agreed with him. For someone who not a lot of us thought was that great shakes or worth the hype that he had been providing, he has shone over the last couple of games. I think he's done a great job. But I honestly think that if you look at him when he goes into Scotland, he's up against the best of the best on the other team at the same time. The best of that, and so he can be a little bit easier to read. He's coming up against more physical players than maybe he does in the URC. Now and maybe I'm just sitting here trying to pull him down because Glasgow.
No, I don't think you are.
I'm just not convinced yet.
I think the point of difference this year is, so he'd always been talked about in the Danny Wilson era. For all of Danny Wilson's nonsense, he talked about Tuipulotu's kicking game. Yeah. And actually in training, he had an amazing kicking game. We didn't see that last year. What we've seen...
Saw it on blooming Saturday, though.
We saw it on Saturday, Time and time again. Actually, this season, it's been a fixture of Glasgow's play that Tuipulotu can absolutely rampage through a defence if he needs to.
Yeah.
If he sees a soft shoulder, and that soft shoulder might well be your 7 or your hooker, and he'll just go, "No, son, sit down," through.
Yeah.
What we saw at the weekend was he's able to then go, actually, do you know what, this defence is set, chip in behind, and he was kicking beautifully. And to have that option at centre 12 or 13, and let's not get into the Chris Harris debate, because I don't think Tuipulotu's anywhere near as good a defender as Harris.
He's not. I think he's a 12. I think he's a. To be really basic about it, he's very.
I think he has to be.
Yeah, he's a Tuilagi. He's a.
However,
to be honest, I think he's got a better game than Tuilagi.
He does. He's got a more rounded game than Tuilagi. I totally agree. So I think he was a standout at the weekend for me, and it's good to see, because it gives us more options. You've got Cameron Redpath signing on at Bath again to go. He'll be playing next year with Finn. You've got Hugh Jones coming back. You've got Tuipulotu. You've got Sam Johnson coming back. You've got all sorts of centres. Chris Harris is going well. I've got all sorts of centres sitting there. Mark Bennett is obviously playing regularly for Edinburgh as well. We've got a lot of depth at centre, which normally means that the knee fairy is going to visit two of them coming because we're in the World Cup season. So the knee fairy is fluttering just outside, ready to come. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. But all in all, I think I'll get your proper views on this, but just quick summary, Craig. 10 points on offer. You came away with 1. You've had a poor run of form recently. Can Edinburgh still make the playoffs?
Up until probably the last game, I would have said yes, 100%, no problem. You wouldn't even got a flicker of doubt from me. I think they are with the talent that they have in their talent pool, and they're just adding to it. Like for example, Tom Cruise has come in and
he's been excellent.
He's been excellent. And there's ability there. My issue now is with injuries.
Yeah.
And looking at the injuries and the big players that are injured. However, I will in the Patreon give a rather hot take about a winger, but
I'm looking forward to this hot take, Craig. So yes,
I think there is still an opportunity if we can get our act together, but I'm concerned that other teams have worked us out.
Well, with that, we will go over to our Patreon just now because both we are over the hour and I need to pee. So we head over to Patreon. Thank you to everybody that's joining us tonight. Please head over to patreon.com, subscribe, get involved in the Patreon stuff. We do cut loose. It is our hands in the ruck section where we will cut loose a wee bit, and I'm sure Craig's got some seriously good hot takes for us. But for now, it is good night from me and good night from Craig.
Good night all.